I mean, I think what we're seeing right now is Putin growing increasingly frustrated. Frustrated by the fact that this just hasn't been as easy as he thought it was going to be in terms of overtaking Kiev. There's been, major issues in terms of fuel and food supply shortages. I don't think they expected the air defense from Ukraine to be as stellar as it has been. But the downside of that is that an increasingly frustrated Putin is an increasingly unhinged Putin. And I think that's, been evidenced by the latest incident at the nuclear facility. And I think that's what you need to watch out for, is that the more he faces these setbacks, the more he's, surprised by the stiff resistance that he's facing from the Ukrainians, the more aggressive and violent and, frankly, terrifying his tactics are going to be moving forward.
Indeed, Noor, today we've seen shelling of Kiev. We've seen the squeeze on Mariupol get worse and worse with people. I think the mayor is saying there's no more food left for people. It's a horrific situation. We'll come back to you in a moment, Noor. Let's bring in Man on here in the studio. This kind of tactic that we're seeing, it seems, as Noor was saying, Putin getting more and more desperate, looking more and more desperate in terms of what's happening on the ground. Do you see a pattern from other Russian conflicts emerging here?
Absolutely. I mean, I covered the war in Chechnya, and that's exactly what happened in Chechnya. He didn't expect a resistance at the beginning, and then he sent more and more troops and sent the aviation and just bombed everything, and Grozny was in rubble afterwards. And he's never cared about the human losses, ever. Yeah. So it's terrifying, and what's terrifying is now he seems completely locked into something which is irrational, where he's in a way taking revenge for something of 15 years of telling us about NATO and feeling we haven't listened, etc. And the more he sees the resistance, I think the further he's able to go, and that's terrifying. I spoke to lots of Russian friends, Ukrainian friends under the bombs, and all my Russian friends are trying to leave the country. All those who were resisting, and I think of Elena, at Echo Moskwy, at Novoye Gazeta, which is still going on, but for how long, no one knows. They've always survived all the crises. Chechnya, Syria, when they were trying to tell the truth, Donbass, and they've been closed down and they all risk 15 years imprisonment because they used the war. They used the word war. You're not allowed. There's no war.
Special military operation.
Exactly, or pacification. So now you risk in Russia denazification. Yeah. So it's completely terrifying. As we're speaking at Memorial, which is the NGO that was created by Sakharov, that documents all the crimes of the Stalinian regime and the actual regime, there's an ongoing, FSB clampdown, and they're checking everything. And Memorial has been closed, so it's very, very troubled times ahead.